Now, the results of the election have largely been welcomed by India's neighbours, such as Bangladesh, on India's eastern border. But that's not the case with Pakistan. Officials in Islamabad and Indian Prime Minister Modi have a fractious relationship, and how that develops will be closely watched during Modi's third term.
Since their creation in 1947, Pakistan and India have fought 4 wars and had frequent border skirmishes. Just a few weeks before the Indian elections, the Indian Defence Minister underlined India's stance on Pakistan.
If any terrorist from the neighboring country tries to hurt India, we will give a befitting response. If he runs away back to Pakistan, then we will kill him by entering into Pakistan.
Singh's comments came after Britain's The Guardian published a report stating that since 2020, India allegedly killed 20 terrorists on Pakistani soil. India has long accused Pakistan of sponsoring terrorism and fueling an insurgency in Indian-held Kashmir. Things got particularly heated when a suicide attack in Indian-administered Kashmir in 2019 killed 40 Indian policemen in the run-up to national elections in India. Narendra Modi's government blamed the attack on Pakistan. India responded with airstrikes. This brought the two countries to the brink of war.
Terrorism is a key element that motivates or sort of creates tensions between India and Pakistan. And it's not just the BJP that has a position on this. Even the Congress party also talks about terrorism with respect to Pakistan. So I think there's actually probably a general agreement across the political spectrum in India that's a critical issue. That so long as terrorism remains down, there's potential for a renewed relationship.
Pakistan denies the Indian charges. Instead, it accused India of undermining the will of Kashmiris when it revoked an article in the Indian Constitution in 2019 that granted the region significant autonomy. This decision led to a nosedive in relations.
India illegally annexed Jammu and Kashmir, which is occupied territory and recognized as an international dispute, and remains on the agenda of the UN Security Council. The Modi government had previously said several times that Jammu and Kashmir is now off the negotiating table and that they will not talk to Pakistan at all about Kashmir. That makes it very difficult for any government in Pakistan to resume any kind of normal relationship with India.
One neighbor with which India's relations have significantly improved under Modi's rule is Bangladesh. Modi sees Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina as a reliable partner in controlling the threat of terrorism, especially in India's northeastern states. Investing in Bangladesh also helps India's geostrategic goals in the region.
If it warms to China, could be a significant challenge to India's influence in the Bay of Bengal, its sort of freedom of movement and navigation. And so certainly having a good relationship with the Hasina government is a critical part of maybe denying a strong Chinese foothold in Bangladesh.
As Prime Minister Modi is set to begin his third term in office, it seems likely India will continue to carefully play its cards and assert its position in the region.
That report by DW's Beenish Javid, who joins me now to talk more about the regional impact of the election, especially with India's neighbour, Pakistan. Good to see you, Beenish. So what's the reaction in Pakistan to the Indian election results?
Anya, officials in Pakistan are watching the development in India very cautiously and carefully. As the report mentions, since 2019, the relations between two countries are at their lowest in decades. India blames Pakistan of a threat of terrorism. Basically, India blames Pakistan that the threat of terrorism emanates from Pakistan. For Pakistan, the annexation of Indian-held Kashmir was an issue that it was unacceptable to Pakistan. And since then, we saw that the relationship between the two countries plunged, their diplomatic relations downgraded. There are no the trade suspended between the two countries. And as of now, there is no sign of resumption of a structured dialogue between the two countries. Pakistani officials also say that Prime Minister Narendra Modi and his ministers used provocative language aimed at Pakistan during the election campaign. So in this environment, officials in Pakistan are not very thrilled at the idea of Narendra Modi coming to power for the next 5 years.
Okay, so it's clear to say that Pakistan's relationship with India during Modi's 10 years in office has not improved in any way. And going forward, there's no sense right now that there's really an effort to make things, to mend relations in any way.
Yeah, and yeah, so Pakistan and India always had troubled relations. There were very few periods where the tensions between the two countries were low. But since 2009, we see that the relationship nosedived. Pakistan and India had a structured dialogue for years, known as composite dialogue, and Kashmir and terrorism were on the agenda in that dialogue. And actually, I covered one such brief period of peace. Indian Foreign Minister S.M. Krishna came to Pakistan with dozens of Indian journalists. It was a major news. Lots of agreements were signed. But then from 2014, we saw that the diplomatic relations became very, very limited. However, I would say that there are still some good things that happened in the last couple of years. Both India and Pakistan have maintained and have held the ceasefire on Pakistan-India border line of control, which I think is a remarkable achievement because as of now, the most troubled borders that Pakistan has is its western border with Afghanistan. In the last couple of months, we saw that there was exchange of airstrikes between Iran and Pakistan. So there's something to look forward to. I would also say that most officials in Pakistan and many and also in India believe that both nuclear powers have to talk, India cannot run away from talking about Kashmir. Pakistan has to address terrorism concerns of India. But for long-term peace in the region, both countries have to have some sort of diplomatic dialogue.
Mm-hmm. Your report also mentions Bangladesh. Will the Sheikh Hasina government in Bangladesh be happy with Modi winning a third term? What's their take on this situation?
I think the Bangladeshi government would be very happy. Sheikh Hasina enjoys very good rapport with Prime Minister Narendra Modi. The relationship has flourished over the last couple of years. Especially when it comes to counter-terrorism. During Sheikh Hasina's government, India used to accuse Bangladesh of providing sanctuary to insurgent groups, especially operating in India's northeastern states. That problem for India has eased under her government. But most importantly, I think for India, Bangladesh is important to deter China or to deter the growing ambitions of China in the region, especially in the Bay of Bengal. India works with the United States, with its allies, to deter China and Bangladesh. A good relationship with Bangladesh helps India achieve that goal.
Beenish Javed, thanks so much for that analysis.